welcome back to the Daily Poem here on the Close Reads Podcast Network. I'm David Kern. First of all, before I read today's poem, I just need to say thank you so much to all of the kids out there who memorized Robert Louis Stevenson poems and posted their recitations on social media. I was blown away, not only by the number of you who submitted poems, but also by the quality of your recitations. So let me just say, great job to everybody. I will be making an announcement as soon as possible about all the winners. There were so many of them, so many submissions, that it's going to take me a little bit to listen to all of them and then figure out who the winners are. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to pick 3 winners from different age groups. So one for the older kids, one for the middle grade kids, and then the older elementary kids, and then one for the younger kids. And we're going to play each of the winners on the show. So if you win, your audio will appear in this podcast. So that's going to be the first part. And then also, each of the winners will be receiving their choice of a couple of options of beautifully bound folio books, either collections of verse or some fairy tales, things like that. So we're going to let each family choose from a couple of different options. We're going to do this giveaway periodically. I don't know if we'll get to it monthly, but we're going to at least do it once a quarter. So we'll try to give you enough lead time to memorize and record your recitations. But great job to everybody who did that. And like I said, we will have our winners announced very soon as possible. And thank you for being so patient with me. Okay, today's poem is by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, somebody who I was shocked to notice that I have never read from on this show. I have yet to read a Longfellow poem here on the Daily Poem, so it seems like high time to do that. So I'm going to read a selection from the Song of Hiawatha. It's part 3, Hiawatha's Childhood. Longfellow lived from 1807 to 1882, and his most famous works include Paul Revere's Ride, which maybe I'll read next July, the Song of Hiawatha, of course, and then also Evangeline. And he was also the first American to translate Dante's Divine Comedy. And he was part of a group of poets from New England called the Fireside Poets, which included Oliver Wendell Holmes and William Cullen Bryant, John Greenleaf Whittier, and James Russell Lowell. Each of those are people you'll probably hear from over the months as we continue on with the Daily Poem. The Song of Hiawatha is an 1885 epic poem, a very formal poem, but in a very lovely sort of way. It was written in tetrameter, and if you want to learn more about that, you can just search on Wikipedia or whatever. Basically, this poem was written in trochaic tetrameter, which has to do with which syllables are stressed and which ones are unstressed. This is not a poetry class, though, so I'm not going to get into that too much. But if you're interested, then definitely go out and learn a little bit more about that. Now, I should note that Longfellow's poem, though it is based on some of the legends surrounding a specific figure, is not really a transmission of those stories, but is much more of an original retelling from Longfellow's own imagination. And it's definitely an example of classic American romantic literature. Here's the portion that I'm going to read. And again, this is part 3, Hiawatha's Childhood, from the Song of Hiawatha by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Downward through the evening twilight, in the days that are forgotten, in the unremembered ages, from the full moon fell Nokomis, fell the beautiful Nokomis. She was a wife, but not a mother. She was sporting with her women, swinging in a swing of grapevines, when her rival, the rejected, full of jealousy and hatred, cut the leafy swing asunder, cut in twain the twisted grapevines, and Nokomis fell affrighted, downward through the evening twilight, on the muscadet, the meadow, on the prairie full of blossoms. "See, a star falls," said the people. "From the sky a star is falling." There among the ferns and mosses, there among the prairie lilies, on the muscadet, the meadow in the moonlight, on the starlight, fair Nokomis bore a daughter, and she called her name Wainona, as the firstborn of her daughters. And the daughter of Nokomis grew up like the prairie lilies, grew a tall and slender maiden with the beauty of the moonlight, with the beauty of the starlight. And Nokomis warned her often, saying oft and oft repeating, "Oh, beware of Mudjekeewis, of the west wind, Mudjekeewis. Listen not to what he tells you. Lie not down upon the meadow, stoop not down among the lilies, lest the west wind come and harm you. But she heeded not the warning, heeded not those words of wisdom, and the west wind came at evening, walking lightly o'er the prairie, whispering to the leaves and blossoms, bending low the flowers and grasses, found the beautiful Waynona lying there among the lilies, wooed her with its words of sweetness, wooed her with the soft caresses, till she bore a son in sorrow, bore a son of love and sorrow. Thus was born my Hiawatha. Now, this is a very long poem, and thus I can't read all of it on this show, but I will be coming back with more of it later. But I wanted to give you a little taste of it. This is a lovely portion, I think. In particular, I love the bits of repetition, the way they change the pace of the poem, the way they slow you down, like from the full moon fell Nokomis, fell the beautiful Nokomis, or see, a star falls, said the people. From the sky a star is falling. And then also, with the beauty of the moonlight, with the beauty of the starlight. This is the kind of poem that can reveal just how much form can free creativity. It doesn't restrict it. I mean, it does in some ways, but it also enables the poet to get after something he wouldn't otherwise be able to get after. This would be a very different poem if Longfellow hadn't stuck to his form and stuck to the rhythms. In fact, listen to how each line is like an echo of the previous one, like a drum beat almost. And I think that this is an instructive poem in that way, but it's also just a lovely poem, and it's an interesting story as well. So if you want to hear the whole story of Hiawatha, then certainly go look up the Song of Hiawatha. All right, I'll read it one more time, even though we're running short on time here. Downward through the evening twilight, in the days that are forgotten, in the unremembered ages, from the full moon fell Nokomis, fell the beautiful Nokomis. She was a wife, but not a mother. She was sporting with her women, swinging in a swing of grapevines, when her rival, the rejected, full of jealousy and hatred, cut the leafy swing asunder, cut in twain the twisted grapevines. And Nokomis fell affrighted downward through the evening twilight, on the muscadet, the meadow, on the prairie full of blossoms. See, a star falls, said the people. From the sky a star is falling. There, among the ferns and mosses, there among the prairie lilies, on the muscadet, the meadow, in the moonlight and the starlight, fair Nokomis bore a daughter. And she called her name Waynona, as the firstborn of her daughters. And the daughter of Nokomis grew up like the prairie lilies, grew a tall and slender maiden with the beauty of the moonlight, with the beauty of the starlight. And Nokomis warned her often, saying oft and oft repeating, "Oh, beware of Mudjekeewis, of the west wind Mudjekeewis. Listen not to what he tells you, lie not down upon the meadow, stoop not down among the lilies, lest the west wind come and harm you." But she heeded not the warning, heeded not those words of wisdom, and the west wind came at evening, walking lightly o'er the prairie, whispering to the leaves and blossoms, bending low the flowers and grasses, found the beautiful Waynona lying there among the lilies, wooed her with his words of sweetness, wooed her with his soft caresses, till she bore a son in sorrow, bore a son of love and sorrow. Thus was born my Hiawatha. This has been the Daily Poem. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode.